Hey everyone, welcome to Area 616. Late last night, fans of Iron Fist were given some bad news by Deadline when they reported that Netflix has officially cancelled the series, meaning that there will be no Season 3. This is the first Marvel series to be officially cancelled by Netflix. However, there may be some good news. In the report announcing the cancellation, Marvel did make a point to say that while the show has ended, quote, the immortal Iron Fist will live on. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about where I could see Danny Rand and Colleen Wing show up next, and how I think they might be able to resolve Season 3's rather large plot threads left dangling, as well as discussions that there may yet be some hope for Iron Fist after all. Season 2 of Iron Fist ended with some very big developments for the lead characters, with Colleen Wing becoming the new Iron Fist and Protector of Chinatown, while Danny seems to regain the fist himself in Japan, where it's teased that he's about to have a run-in with Orson Randell, a popular previous Iron Fist from the comics. It's so very disappointing we'll probably never see this play out, especially with Orson Randell. I was really excited to see where that went. I really love the Iron Fist of the comics. Some of my favorite comics from Marvel are about him. So I'm really disappointed with how everything has ended up. Of course, there was a ton of fan division over Colleen becoming Iron Fist. You just have to look in the comments of my review to see that. Personally, I thought, and still think, it was a smart move on the writer's part to advance Colleen's character, while also helping Danny Rand to become the Iron Fist we've always wanted him to be. The whole thing about his MCU arc is that he doesn't know who he is and where he belongs. And he was never going to find that out while being Iron Fist. He defined himself as that way too much for him to be able to. Losing the Iron Fist was the only way for him to complete his arc, so that when he regains the fist, he's finally the character we've always wanted him to be, at peace with himself. It's a much better move than just suddenly he's way different than before. But while I'm not happy that Iron Fist was cancelled, I do kind of understand why it was. Netflix and Marvel were stuck in a rough situation with Season 3 because of this divide between critics and fans. Fans hated what they did with Colleen and wanted only Danny to be Iron Fist, but critics liked the change, and in fact a lot of them didn't want Danny to be Iron Fist at all. So they could either continue as planned and make the critics happy and the fans even angrier, or they could retcon everything they did in the season finale and maybe make the fans happier, but the critics would not appreciate it at all. So yeah, I can understand why Netflix thought it just wasn't worth all of the time and money to take such a big risk. So with all of that said, where is it that Iron Fist and Iron Fist might show up next? And how could they resolve these plot lines? Well, the most obvious answer to this is Luke Cage. Danny actually appeared in Season 2 of Luke Cage, and it is widely considered to be the best portrayal of the character yet, so it makes a lot of sense. Now, it does make me wonder just how large their roles would be now that their shows have been cancelled. I'm really interested to see where Luke is going after that Season 2 ending, and I'm honestly not sure I want all of Iron Fist's plot threads impeding in on that story. But I could still see Danny and Colleen playing a role. Misty mentioned in Iron Fist Season 2 that she felt like she might need someone with power like Colleen's to take down Luke if necessary, and I imagine we might see that in Luke Cage Season 3. I think this would start after Danny returns from Japan. Maybe he's even gotten the fist back, so maybe they both go up against Luke. Because honestly, it'd make more sense for Danny to do it, not because Colleen wouldn't be capable, but because Danny is Luke's friend. So he might be able to talk him down. The odds are pretty even in a fight between Iron Fist and Luke Cage, but if there are two Iron Fists involved, that changes things up a lot. I could definitely see Danny and Colleen becoming a part of Luke Cage's supporting cast, and Danny's storylines could very well add some extra oomph to Luke's future seasons. I mean, sure, the mystical stuff might be a little out of place, but they could certainly find ways to work it in. And some of the more grounded elements of Iron Fist's story, like the gang war in Chinatown or Typhoid Mary, would fit in very well with Luke's story. Unless, that is, Netflix decides to go in a different direction and do what a lot of fans are now calling for, cancel Luke Cage after Season 3 and start a new Heroes for Hire series about Luke, Danny, Colleen, and Misty. Honestly, I love the idea of this. I think it's the perfect way to make everyone happy, to let Iron Fist share the spotlight without questions of whether he's taking it away from Luke. I think it would be a little sad to lose Luke Cage's solo series, as it is a really good show, especially after Season 2. But I could definitely see Chio Hoderi Coker continuing as the showrunner of Heroes for Hire, so it's not like Luke would be going away. We'd still be getting basically the same show, except now it would have Iron Fist. Honestly, I think this would be a great idea, and I very much believe this could be where everything's headed. It just makes a lot of sense. But of course, Danny and Colleen weren't the only big characters left hanging. We also have the supporting cast, Ward and Joy Meacham, but I'm honestly not so worried about them. Ward was pretty great, but it's not like there's a huge void left by his absence. And Joy was always just kind of strange to me, even when she improved in Season 2. However, if they do have a Heroes for Hire series, I could definitely see the Meachams returning and having a role in that story. But the character I'm really worried about, though, is Typhoid Mary, the standout villain of Season 2 of Iron Fist. And it was just getting interesting, too. They were about to introduce Mary's Bloody Mary persona and everything. So, what's next for Typhoid Mary? Well, I personally like to see Mary appear in other shows. I think that if they do a Heroes for Hire series, she'd be a great antagonist for that. Maybe she could even be the main villain of the first season or something. But I also think it'd be really cool if she appeared in future seasons of The Punisher and Daredevil. But especially The Punisher. I have to see this version of Typhoid Mary go up against Frank Castle. It's just too perfect not to happen. And of course, Daredevil and Typhoid Mary have a lot of history in the comics, and I'd love to see some of it in the Netflix shows. So there's certainly places for her to appear, I just hope Marvel doesn't forget about her. Before I sign off here, I think it's worth having some hope for a moment, as the Deadline article did give some good news as well. First of all, it was announced that the Luke Cage Season 3 renewal is imminent, so it's really expected to come any day now, which is great news. Also, it was revealed that Netflix is already very confident that Daredevil will be renewed for a 4th season, which is amazingly awesome. I'm glad that they're working on renewing it so early, because that means, the faster they renew it, the faster we can see the Season 4. But also, the article that announced Iron Fist's cancellation did leave fans of the series with some hope for its return. It's mentioned that while Netflix may be done with the series, that doesn't mean the show couldn't potentially be picked up by some other network, specifically bringing up Disney Play. I don't know what their sources are exactly, but the Deadline writer reported that his sources said that Disney Play is actually considering reviving the show. I don't know if this is true or not, but that's what they said in the article. This could be exactly what Iron Fist needed, as being on a separate service entirely could lead to the show achieving the kind of budget and story that it's always needed. Now, there's no telling if Disney Play will actually do this. It's not exactly Marvel's most popular show, even after Season 2, but I figured it was worth mentioning. But I wouldn't hold your breath if I were you. Of course, if it moves to Disney Play, they'd have to bump the rating down from TVMA to TV-14, but that's fine. Iron Fist has always been the tamest of the Marvel Netflix shows, so it wouldn't really be much of a difference at all. Another option, of course, is Hulu, but I think that's less likely. Hulu would probably be more interested in new, exciting Marvel properties, like, Ghost Rider, as opposed to picking up less popular ones dropped by other networks. But with all that said, what do you guys think? Do you think Disney Play should pick up Iron Fist, or should they let the solo series go in favor of Heroes for Hire? Because it is worth mentioning that if they do revive Iron Fist, I doubt a Heroes for Hire series would come. So it's kind of like you can't have both. Honestly, that's what I'd personally like to see, is a Heroes for Hire series. But where could you see Danny, Colleen, and the Meachams and Typhoid Mary all show up next? Let me know your thoughts and theories in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.
Try to break free from a terrible dream.